Hey everybody, my name is Tim Collins. I'm a solutions engineer in the industrial market at IBM. Today I'd like to talk about two common types of REST APIs for Maximo. And the two common types are the Mabo and the OS. So when you talk about the Mabo, what you're doing is accessing data straight from the person object, right? And the person object has a set of rules that you have to adhere by, and that is the Mabo persistent layer. The other one is the OS, right? So you're using one of the integration framework applications called object structure. So you're actually accessing data from that object structure. These are somewhat similar. So let's go to Maximo and take a look at what I'm talking about. So let's go to database configuration. This database configurations holds all the objects within Maximo. So if I query the person object, I can pull up that person object, and within this object, it's got a set of attributes, right, with different configuration types and lengths for each object. It also has indexes. So when we talk about using the Mabo for a REST API, we have to adhere by these rules when we query data, when we load data, or when we update data. So this is actually using the Mabo. The other one was the actual OS, right? So that's actually using the object structure application within the integration module. So if we look at object structures and we pull up the person object structure, it looks a little different, right? Because you have the object structure name, but you also have the person object. But along with that person object, you have all the child objects underneath that person record. So you not only get all those attributes from the person object, but you get all the attributes from the child objects as well. So that's kind of the difference between using a REST API Mabo and using the REST API object structure. So let's go to, there's a tool called Postman, and this is what I'm using today to actually use my get queries and my post queries. So my first get API is, if I click on it here, this is actually using the Mabo and the person object. So, and I'm using a couple other criteria here. I'm wanting to pull up Revis's person record, and I'm using Wilson as my login and password to Maximo. So when I build this query, you can see all the key parameters that go underneath this. I could add the parameters down here that builds the query for me, or I could just write the query out and it actually states my parameters and values down below. So it's actually a pretty cool tool. So if I look at this particular REST API query, I'm going to look at the Mabo and the person object. So I'm going to go ahead and hit send. So this lists all the attributes. I pulled the Revis record, and you can just see all the different attributes for this particular record. The second get REST API is using the object structure. So this is using the actual integration framework object structure. This is where we had the parent-child object relationship. I'm also using Revis, and the login is Wilson in the URL. So if I hit send on this particular one, it's going to look a little similar. I still get that information coming back. This is a Revis record, but it also has those child objects we viewed on there. So that's the little difference between the two. You know, using the integration framework, you get all the child objects for that as well. So let's move on to the post REST APIs. So this particular one here, I'm going to go ahead and post a record to the Mabo, to the person. So this is going to the person object within Maximo. I'm using all these parameters. You can see here, last name, first name, supervisor, username and password. Like I said, you can build out the query here or down here within the Postman tool. I don't know what tool you would use, but that's how you would do it within Maximo. So, let's look at Maximo really quick here. Let's go to the person. Let's go to the person record, the person application, or the people application, and we'll do just a simple search for Sims. I don't have any records for Sims. Let's go back to Postman. Here's my post to my Mabo, and we're going to hit send. So I got my results set back that it was successful. These are the attributes in the data that we actually entered with this post API. So let's go back to the person record. I still have Sims in for the query. I hit enter, and there's Chris Sims. So that was posting a record using the Mabo. So let's go a little direction here, a little different direction. Let's go back to Postman. And now we're going to post a REST API against the integration framework, the object structure. And we're going to use the Max API weather zone object structure, and we're going to insert weather zone into Maximo. This particular one's OKC, Oklahoma City. It has some other information, lat, long, and some other things. Let's go to the work center. This is where you configure weather alerts at Maximo. It's actually a work center. You can see I've got the Maximo-X, which means it's an actual work center. And you can see my weather zones here listed. Eagle, North America, Boston, Boston 2. So what I want to do through this REST API is to actually add a weather zone for Oklahoma City. So if we go back to Postman, this is my REST API that I'm going to do a post into Maximo, and I'm going to load a Oklahoma City weather zone. So with this URL, I'm going to hit send. It's going to give me a result set back that it was successful and the attributes and information for that record. If we go back to the work center and do a refresh, we will see that it may take a second here. We can see that we've now loaded a new weather zone in Maximo, Oklahoma City. So those are the two different REST APIs for Maximo that we discussed today. Thank you.